We're pretty traditionally Presbyterian.
I love to call Jesus' name because we said he would. Well, now there's a man.
A man got to have a code.
That is why. Whoa, yeah.
A man must have a code. Oh, no doubt.
Well, you know the Lord.
You see, ladies, I'm not just a Presbyterian. I'm a Scottish old believer Presbyterian.
How he plants his footsteps on every way, and he lightens every load. And when he speaks my name, when the battle is tough, oh, I got Jesus, and that's enough. That's why. That's why. That's why. That's why.
This is Westminster.
And as you've come to expect, much like a cold that just won't go away, we're PresbyCast, coming to you live over the internet. And today we're going to debut a brand new feature, pretty technological and innovative. We've never had this done in radio before. We're going to take live calls on the air. So I hope you're excited for this. We expect this to be a groundbreaking new ability for the medium, and we look forward to everyone copying us hereafter. We are joined by one of our most esteemed guests. When we say the third Presbycaster, he's the first person we include in that list of third members of this show, and it's Pastor Dan Borvin. The good Reverend has rejoined us once again. I guess we could have done a Festivus in July episode, but since it's almost September, why not? Welcome everyone to the show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You can see if you're watching live, you've got the number up on the screen, so feel free to call in, and we'll answer all of your questions and more here on PresbyCast. Chortles?
Well, we actually used this feature once before, but I now have a second PC, which makes it a lot easier to manage, and people don't have to worry about video cameras or browsers. It's just that newfangled medium called the telephone, and we already have one caller on hold, but we'll get to them shortly. But we are glad to have Dan Borvin, a bona fide reformed superhero out there on the West Coast, fighting for truth, justice, formation, and the American way. So, Dan?
Yeah, I'm hopeful these days. As you know, in California, we're having the recall election, and I can't wait to be a citizen under Caitlyn Jenner, our new governor. So it's good. It's very exciting times in California. Well,
thank you for not dead naming that person, because that could get us kicked off of the YouTube, as they say.
Well, Caitlyn is running, not Bruce. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, that's who's on the ballot.
As a wiser person once said, I'd have to see the track record before I could cast my vote. See, so it's today, funny because
he actually has a track record in the Olympics.
Yeah, I couldn't help but think about him when I was watching a little bit of the decathlon during the last Olympics. Well, this has been for time capsule purposes, kind of a momentous day, not a 9/11 type thing in scale, but we did have quite an incident in Afghanistan. A number of soldiers killed, and that sort of chaotic exit from the country. So I don't know that we mean to say much about that, but we considered pivoting from our expertise on COVID and immunology and virology and all that sort of thing to global affairs and military strategy. But maybe that's not the best thing for us to do. But we do have a caller, and I think it would be polite to go ahead and bring that person in. You'll see the side of my head a lot as I switch from computer to computer. But in Donahue fashion, I have to ask: is the caller there?
Yes, indeed.
Well, you can identify yourself if you desire. You certainly don't have to. But what's on your
Sure. Greetings and salutations and mega machin dittos from the Buckeye State.
All right. Well, the fact that you said
you have made my wildest dreams come true.
Oh well, that's the saddest thing I've heard today, but that's okay. So
attainable goals.
Yeah, normally we wouldn't let people from Ohio on the show, but you invoked Machen, so you can go ahead and you can.
See, and people
so
say we don't do mercy ministry or social justice, and yet here we are reaching down to bring people up to our level.
It's true. It's true. I'm so thankful. My name is Lee. During the lockdown period, I fell down a bit of a rabbit hole online of Sacred Heart music, since I've heard you guys talk about the shape note cultists at different times. I wanted to get your counsel on how I can break myself of this habit I've fallen into of listening to this. Help me.
Well, there was the pluck your eye out advice, so maybe you need to stick something into your ears, or if you're tempted to sing in the shape note style, maybe that's removal of the tongue might be the advised treatment. I'm sure our friend Odd Deacon will be thrilled at this. He's invited me to many shape note events, and I have declined every one of them. I always seem to be busy when there's a shape note singing out on the edge of the Smoky Mountains. But I really can't help you with that. I do know that when I lived in Raleigh, North Carolina, the people who attended these shape note singings, and even in Knoxville, they were a bunch of burned out hippies and granola eaters. So do you eat granola? I have to ask.
Like John Piper, I only eat granola with grape nuts.
Okay. Well, do you have anything more interesting to talk about than the scourge of the shape note?
No, I really don't.
So
right, I have a question for our caller.
I'm just not that interesting.
All right.
Go ahead.
Solve Afghanistan. Now. Go.
Oh, well,
it's better than what we've got so far. All right.
Quick track. Yeah.
Would you play shape notes for the Taliban? Yes or no?
Ooh.
Yes. I think I would.
This could be a telethon, sort of.
Sort of like a sonic. It's like a sonic psychological warfare.
The sweet sounds of AK-47 make for good background music.
It's a kind of psychological torture, probably that would be pretty effective, I think.
What was it? Was it from the movie like Kingsman with like the fight scene in the church where he like plays the frequency and then everyone just goes berserk? Like we need to figure out like what could make them do that to each other.
Yeah, I think one of the ways
you could do it. I don't.
One of the ways to judge music is look at the kind of people who like it, and if you don't like those sorts of people, you shouldn't like the music. I mean, I was that way with hair metal and southern rock when I was in high school, but I guess I became more amenable to some of those things later. But certainly was a bigot in high school, and I'm still a bigot when it comes to shape note singing, which seems to attract oddballs.
For me, the reason I fell into the rabbit hole was, there was all that talk kind of at the beginning of the lockdown about how the churches shouldn't be singing, and I think I got so reactionary about it. I was just looking for any. Of course, my church didn't stop singing once we got back together again, but we picked right up where we left off. but I think I kind of went over the cliff on the other side, just looking for any sort of interesting group singing arrangements, especially ones that I hadn't encountered before. And we just don't have that stuff up here in the frozen north. So it was automatically interesting since I had never encountered it before, I think.
Well, that sounds like a terrible lockdown side effect, if you will. Not
The best
quite on.
response to banning singing is to sing the most obnoxious music possible.
Yeah, I'd say some psychologist or a sociologist would have thoughts about that. But
It actually is a good point in that just today I was reading in the 1560s in the Low Countries, Belgium and Netherlands, which were under the control of the Catholic Spanish monarchy at the time. The Protestants, in their peaceful protests, very nonviolent protests, actually sang psalms. That was their way of sticking it to the Catholic authorities. So we have a great tradition of punk rock psalm singing.
you know,
Ooh.
I'm not going to play it tonight because I promise we are going to have Art Deacon on to talk about some music, and I found an Appalachian kind of a bluegrass psalm, and I have a recording of it. I'm going to play that sometime. Won't do it tonight, but it exists. He wouldn't forgive me if I didn't give him the chance to wax eloquent about that. So, well, now, you know, this is a radio show tonight, and we've got callers. So there's something we should do. I mean, you all have talked about music, and I think I've got the cure, as it were, for shape note singing.
Hey, megachurch staff member guy, aren't you tired of hearing,
"The music's too loud! The music's too loud! Wah, wah, wah!"
Well, we have the answer. Megachurch brand ultra soft foam earplugs, available in packs of 50. Worship safer.
What?
Sounds good. Worship longer.
Can't feel my hands.
Old people love them.
What?
With comfy cush comfort technology. And their flesh color means you can leave them in during the sermon and nobody will know. Reduce ambient sound pressure by 32 decibels. Don't be fooled by cheap imitations. There's only one Megachurch flesh-colored earplug.
What?
Megachurch earplugs. Order yours today.
What? What? What?
All right. Well, that's as a radio show, we have ads, and there's one of them, a repeat sponsor. So that's my response to shape note singing earplugs.
I could have used those last week. I went to a concert for the first time in almost 2 years.
Oh, you're
and
getting old.
Forgot to bring earplugs and blew out my ears. So Sunday morning, I had to tell our sound guys, be careful with the volume because I might be shouting. But it actually worked well because I was hammering on the Neo-Constantinians. So my extra loud voice was very powerful.
So you have multiple sound guys.
Oh, yeah, we have a whole crew.
Okay. Well, that's sort of a Levitical role, really, when you think about it. The Levites were sort of analogous to deacons. So that's cool that you have that out there. Dutch sound guys. So that's
yeah, we actually have running water and everything. Now they have to pedal fast on the bike that does our electricity, but that's why we need multiples. So one guy can work the sound, one guy can pedal. It works out pretty well.
So, caller, would you be interested in some of those earplugs?
I really would. In fact, I have to say I'll be your first testimonial. I have been fully healed and am only interested in shapeless notes now, having just listened to that ad.
All right. Well, that's fantastic. And
I've gotten everything I could have asked for. Thank you.
amen, somebody, as they say. So
yes, come on, amen.
So, are you a Presbyterian up there in Ohio?
I'm one of those pesky Baptists.
Oh, okay. Well,
ooh, full confession.
I'm a 1689 head.
Okay. Well, I hope you saw the.
Just when I thought it couldn't get worse than shape note singing.
Well,
now he's going to disclose
I am a
Browns
sound guy,
and take
though.
this thing into the gutter.
I'm sports ball agnostic, so you've got that going for you.
The first caller really drove this off the rails.
Yeah.
Well, Odd Deacon is more or less a Baptist in my opinion, so that fits. It fits. All right. Well, thanks for calling. Since we do pay, we pay for this time. I'll go ahead and dump you, but you can listen on YouTube if you want to. No problem. All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, there's our first caller gone, come and gone, and certainly there should be
all
some
downhill from here.
There should be some more. So as we're, I'd have to turn around to see those calls. It's a little irritating.
Dan, we haven't had you on since the great Chicago Cubs fire sale of 2021.
Yeah.
I know that since living in Boston, you became a lifelong Red Sox fan, and now being in Los Angeles, you're proud to also fly a Dodgers car flag. How do you feel?
So I don't get killed outside Dodger Stadium, of course.
Yeah. So how are I know you as a from the cradle Chavez Ravine resident. What's your opinion on what the Ricketts family's done to the Cubs?
Well, on the great day of infamy, I was actually trying to work a trade for the Harry Carey statue out front of Wrigley Field because, according to the Ricketts family, apparently everything was up for grabs. Unfortunately, my offer of a bag of balls was not accepted, so I missed out on that. But yeah, they pretty much put up the kitchen sink for sale that day. If you don't have empty pocket or deep pockets, don't buy the Cubs. It's kind of a simple matter there.
Yeah.
They kind of went cheap all of a sudden, as is common of Chicago ownership. Pretty much every sports franchise is owned by a major cheapskate, so they fit right in.
Okay.
Well, let's.
I'm not bitter at all, though.
That's good. While we're waiting for what might be more callers, let's talk about one of the topics of the day. And, here's someone who never goes cheap. That's Big Eva. Or does she even exist? Someone named Danny Slavich, who I think is a Baptist of some sort, he tweeted, Big Eva is the figment of a neo-fundamentalist imagination. He says it's a particularly unhelpful term taken from socio-political discourse, example given Big Pharma. So we all know neither does Big Pharma exist, right?
I can't think of a single pharmaceutical company
that advertises on television. No, not at all.
It would be super helpful if one of them would make a vaccine, though.
But Dan, you, the veteran of James McDonald's church way back in the day, and living in California where there's all sorts of, big things and Eva things. What do you make of this statement that Big Eva is just a figment of, assumedly, we're the neo-fundamentalist in our imagination?
Yeah, it's just like Antifa. It's just an idea. It doesn't actually exist. So I think he's right on the money there. I'm not sure what a neo-fundamentalist is. I don't know anyone who would say Big Eva would be in the neo-fundamentalist camp. But just follow the money. Follow the money and you'll find Big Eva. You don't have to be Inspector Clouseau to solve this mystery.
Yeah, and what he doesn't mention, and one of our friends further down the thread, Neil Shinvey, and we were one of the first people to put Neil Shinvey on a podcast, so I'll remind everyone. He says, for what it's worth, Carl Trueman coined the term Big Eva. If he's a neo-fundamentalist, then we should probably all be neo-fundamentalists. And that's pretty good. It's a pretty good retort, I think. But I think we believe in Big Eva, don't we? I mean,
well, if you want to call it Big Eva or the evangelical industrial complex, what you're referring to is the same. It exists with the institutions that control the narrative.
Yeah, and if we say the gospel industrial complex, which is what I call it, and then I'd forgotten that. I thought I came up with that term. I did come up with that term, but Carl Trueman had earlier come up with the evangelical industrial complex, as you mentioned, and that's a more helpful term because it talks about the big institutions, the big publishers, the big platforms. So yeah, maybe this person's idea is that Big Eva is not monolithic, and we don't think it is, but we certainly think it's connected, and a lot of similar, often commercial interests at play.
If you want to know about Big Eva, just listen to the Christianity Today podcast on the rise and fall of Mars Hill. They created the problem, and now they're attacking the problem, and they haven't learned one thing in the whole process.
Well, it's so perfectly that meme of like Eric Andre like shooting the guy and like, how could we let this happen? And like just the fact that it's like you could the denial of the existence confirms the existence. Like right. So just the fact that this tweet was written essentially proves the fact that it absolutely exists.
And the sanctimony of all of it with the Mars Hill stuff. How could this happen? Who let him get this way? They did. They created this Frankenstein monster. And Driscoll's not the only one. There are plenty of Big Eva celebrities that are part of the machine. And they use them. And then when the celebrity burns himself out, they kick him to the curb and move on to the next.
Well, to his credit, Tim Keller, when there's an account of Tim Keller sort of confronting or pushing back on one of Driscoll's lieutenants, and he said, this you can't control Driscoll, and he's gonna do what he's gonna do. But Keller didn't do anything about it, but he did recognize it. So you got to give him credit for that. I forget where that account's
Well, not only that, they served along with that guy on the Gospel Coalition. They were all speaking at conferences with that guy. It's not just like, well, what do you want me to do? He's Baptist. I'm Presbyterian. I can't bring him in front of a church court. Well, you cannot be on a board with the guy. Start there. Don't be at a conference where he's speaking. And the fact that Christianity Today is all of a sudden like shocked, 3 or 4 years ago, whenever he burned down Mars Hill, that, Driscoll's not such a great guy. People knew this 15 years ago. This wasn't a surprise that he ended up burning the whole thing down. So these guys platformed this guy. They rode his coattails for a decade. And then when he reveals his true cards, then they all back away. Oh, I can't believe this happened. We didn't know. What do you want us to do? They walked alongside of him for at least a decade.
Yeah, well put and well said. We can come back to this, but the call board is lighting up. So I think we should try to accommodate these poor little people with their flip phones. I'm going to imagine that everyone's on a flip phone, and Rotary. I will ask: is the caller there?
Yes, this is Mr. Tutwiler.
Mr.
First, Tutwiler.
Tutwiler, gotcha.
Yeah. Long-time listener, first-time caller, as they say. So I'm going to need you to use your considerable influence with Daryl Hart to tell him he needs to write a corollary book to his Seeking a Better Country book, 300 Years of American Presbyterianism. Because in the first chapter he says, this book isn't going to focus on the Cedars or Covenanters. We're just going to focus on the regular Presbyterians. And I feel like they kind of get overlooked, especially the United Presbyterians that eventually moved in with the unfortunately with the mainline church that Gershner was a part of.
Yeah, that's where Mr. Rogers was UPC.
Yeah, he went to Pittsburgh, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Pittsburgh Seminary, I think. So, if you go through the Psalter, you'll see a lot of them. Those selections come from the 1912 Psalter, which was produced, I understand correctly, by the UPC NA. And so, yeah, that's my comment. And since Dan's there, I'm just going to need the URC to, quit pretending it's a federation and just admit it's a denomination. Come on. I know they got some hard things that coming on with this CRC and all, but just give it up. Just admit the truth.
Yeah, Dan. Why are you an independent Congregationalist? That's what we want to know.
For the record, I actually never call it a federation, much to the disappointment of my fellow ministers in the URC. I call it a denomination. Technically, we're a federation. We act like a denomination. So
kind of like the Trade Federation in that Star Wars movie. Is that it?
I don't speak Klingon. What?
Okay, caller. Anything else besides that we should castigate Daryl Hart for his for his omission. And I think the thing is, Daryl's a foodie, and he can't imagine that the Covenanters would have anything besides casserole and maybe boiled meat of some kind.
Fried possum.
Well, you do got to watch for those casseroles, and at some churches, it's like every casserole is 100% spinach. It's pretty bad. So, yeah, and his dictionary of the Presbyterian and Reformed tradition, like the entry for the UP church is like one book that's no longer in print for the bibliography, and of course the ARP has that one book they always use for the history. But I just wish there was more resources on those guys.
Well, we'll tell him to do better and to widen his horizons. But we do thank you for calling.
I appreciate it.
We do thank you for calling. We've got a couple of more on the line, so let me. I have to grab the right mouse. All right, so our next caller is the caller there. It says Kitchen Warrior. So who's with us?
Hey, what's up?
Kitchen Warrior. You're on the air.
How's it going?
Okay, I thought it said Kitchen Warrior. Oh no, that's what the voice to text. Yeah.
Autocorrect.
Oh boy. All right, Major.
Autocorrect is an Erdman.
Right. Yeah, I called in the 420 Presby Cast Cantina. I got my Miller Lite here. What's going on, guys?
Well, we're happy that you're somewhere. So what's on your mind?
Well, I'm on the West Coast out here too, so I'm wondering, Dan, how are things going, and what's the tyranny level, and how you been?
Oh, just living the dream in California. Our consistory is prepared for more restrictions. Nothing is reported yet from the civil magistrate. Even the vaccine mandates and restrictions and so forth. They haven't mentioned any religious institutions, which I found interesting. I think they took enough of a scolding in the past year with John MacArthur and all that and others that they're hesitant. We shouldn't expect them to stay that way, though. But we're preparing for more lockdowns, more restrictions, but I hope it doesn't come to that. But we're prepared if it does.
As the saying goes, the tyranny level is like the rent. It's just too dang high.
That's right. And they keep raising it, baby. So you're on your third booster shot, Dan? Is that what I heard?
Today, my third today. Yeah, I take a Flintstone vitamin and 6 booster shots per morning. So I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Just crush it. Yep. crush that Flintstone before you. Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
Good for
the
you.
tyranny level in California is Elon Musk on Joe Rogan level. That's how high.
Have you found which particular booster tastes the best with your pre-workout?
Yeah, I go for the NO2 booster. There's a little bit of twitch. Sometimes my eye involuntarily closes, but that just helps when I go to the shooting range. So take a booster, go to the range, you'll be a marksman in no time.
It's like National Lampoon when he's like, every time they turn on the microwave, like peanut cans or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh. Speaking of Christmas, man,
some
is it
churches
too early
take
for
temperature
Festivus or
checks,
what?
and some churches take temperature checks and do sanitizer coming in. We give everybody a booster shot right in the arm. Makes for more entertaining worship.
That's right. Hey, man, we're soldiers in Christ, so we got to be like the military.
Yeah.
But hey,
When we
is it
sing,
too early to talk about Festivus or what?
Oh, never too early to talk about Festivus.
Again, we boast all 12 months.
Let's go. Okay.
24, 365. That's how
Any main grievances I could hear before we end the summer or what?
Well, if Caitlyn Jenner is not elected, that will be a major grievance because all of my hopes for California are in hers hands that are, speaking of Seinfeld, they're man hands.
I'm just
Caitlin's very
so
capable man hands.
This is a real grievance, right? So I can't find Seinfeld. I was like on Hulu, and then I let that subscription expire because it wasn't on there, and then they said it was going to be Netflix, but I've gone all summer without Seinfeld. You guys know?
I think it's
I don't pirate my stuff.
It's probably all Peacock now.
Peacock?
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I've got Peacock. I'll look it
that's
up.
NBC. I think that's it.
Yeah, but it doesn't. If I efforted the search. I don't think Seinfeld goes to Netflix until the fall. So until then, it's just TBS syndication for you.
Oh man, that's rough. I mean, I've got the Peacock because got to watch my English Premier League, but man, it's been rough.
I got the Peacock from my fourth booster, and it was not pretty. That's one of the side effects Pfizer doesn't tell you about. You get the Peacock.
But at least as a male peacock, you get all the plumage. It's basically a Ric Flair robe you can just take with you.
Things were turning blue, that's for sure.
I lost all my plumage ever since I got married, man. That's for sure.
Well, it happens.
That sounds like a you problem, not an us problem.
Yeah, well. But hey, you guys stay Presby. I appreciate you letting me be on the call. Hey, I love you guys a lot. You take care now.
All right. Well, thank you. We've got another caller, and who knows? This one might be a normal person. Is the caller there from the 574 area code?
Yes, you can call me Daryl Hart's warrior child.
Oh boy, he'll love that. So, from where do you call?
From Michigan.
From Michigan. Okay, well, yeah, there you go. So, what's on your mind on this unusual day?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you guys. You talked to, was it Ron Hensel or Hensel?
Yes, Hensel.
And
yes.
When you talked to him, I don't know how long ago it's been now, but you were talking about Kevin DeYoung's piece, his review rather, about the book reparations. And I was curious if you guys had him on the show, what would be, and this is for all three of you, what would be one question you want to ask him?
So, Kevin DeYoung, is that who?
Yes.
Yes. Well, yeah, I guess I would ask him if he heard Presby and I giggling behind him at GA in Atlanta a few years ago, because we were sitting right behind him and watching him read our tweets. I think Presby remembers that.
Yeah, I feel as though I've just been outed. We had kept the identities secret. I think we had only given away such subtle hints as rhymes with Smeven Skridung, so no one could really figure it out. But yeah, and Kevin, we saw you scrolling.
Well, I think one of the things I would ask him is about the Gospel Coalition and whether he thinks it's still helpful, and why he's still a part of that. But he very much is. I guess I would ask him that, and I think I would ask him if the reaction to his reparations book, a review of the reparations book, surprised him, because that's really died down pretty quickly. But it was pretty intense for a few days. So, I mean, he's a really nice guy,
Yeah.
and I'd say that was not a fun experience for him.
No, for sure. Yeah, and I also was curious if you had Tim Keller on the show, what you would ask him, because the likelihood of that happening is probably not
Right. You left us a voicemail to that effect, and I alluded to it in the pre-show. So I guess we'll go around the horn with this, but I would ask him: is there nothing really that's more relaxing than humility? I think that's what I would ask him.
Okay.
Now, Dan.
Sorry, I missed the pre-show, so that was my fault.
Yeah, everyone did. So Dan's an inquisitive and curious person. What question would you have, Dan?
Is New York better since he tried to transform it? I would say no. I was in New York in the 90s before Keller, and it was a much more interesting place before he got there. Now it's pretty boring. And no less godless. So I'd rather, if you're going to be godless, you might as well be godless with CBGBs and then without.
Well, the cost of living has certainly gone up. So it's a gentrification.
You could follow that up, how does it make him feel knowing that the cockroaches from Joe's apartment did more to transform that city than 30 years of ministry there?
Well, I don't want to denigrate the good that Keller's done, which is probably considerable, but it's just a very strange place to try to be a Presbyterian. Mm-hmm. And
he's definitely done good in preaching the gospel, but he hasn't done good in trying to transform the city because it's impossible in this present evil age. So, yeah, I think we should commend him for faithfully preaching the gospel, but sadly, it seems that the efforts to transform New York City have failed. Not surprising.
Yeah, and I think some of Keller's, we've said this many times, some of Keller's disciples, air quotes, are much more problematic than he is, and he knows that. He knows that in some cases, but I mean, everyone tries to remake things the way they want them to be, and I think he's had a considerable influence in the PCA, not all for the good, and I think he'd be too kind and polite to answer, but I would ask him what some of his regrets are and how he might have done some things differently. Because
my question would be, what were the failed auditions like for the 3 ballerina Lord's Supper entertainment? If those guys got passed, what were the failed auditions like? And is there video?
Well,
I forgot about that.
You refer to a low point, but I've heard of a few, well, maybe a couple of good things, at least one good thing that came from that, that it actually might have influenced one of the participants to rethink worship. And I can't say any more than that, but there's a...
He hung up his leotard?
No, there's a happy ending in there, I hear. although it's still in progress. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I've heard things that were encouraging. So you never know. You never know how things are gonna turn out. So
well, Old Testament Israel burned their idols when they converted, so maybe they can burn the leotards and convert to the RPW.
Well, you probably are just a little jealous because maybe you don't look as good in.
I definitely don't look that good.
Leotard, yeah.
That's why I wear a Geneva gown. You can't see anything. It hides the COVID-15 very nicely. And also maybe a firearm. I didn't say that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you better not say that in California. But you might
and then with zip ties are at the door.
You might attract attention.
And not in Michigan either.
So, what's going to happen up there in Michigan with your governor, who is not altogether friendly to personal liberty?
I really can't say. I'm in a pretty red part of the state, so it's the anger at Whitmer has been pretty out in the open. It's kind of died down since the lockdowns, but it's I don't know. It's kind of a coin flip at this point, is in terms of what's going to happen. In my view, maybe. Then again, I'm not fully invested in the state politics because it can get sort of dizzying. So.
All right. Well, anything else for us before we move on to another caller?
No, I just really appreciate the show, and I will keep listening for the future. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Well, we appreciate you, and every show could be the last, but in case Presby hasn't noticed, we have a true international Presbyterian celebrity in the comments, Albert Kona, our good friend, and if he's listening, only this week, Presby was saying that we have to have Albert on again soon, and we'll do that. We'll see what's going on in Albania before long, I hope. So let's.
I think we should at some point plan an on-site episode from Albania.
Well, that would be good. That would be good. Let's see if this other caller is there. Is the caller there?
I think so.
All right. So where are you calling from?
Just a humble Pennsylvanian.
Oh, well, we take all kinds in here. What's on your mind?
Oh, nothing. I was just calling to say keep up the good work. Checking in. I'm a long-time listener. Never called in, but big fan of Dan Borvin and his antics. I'm not a Cubs fan, though. I was there in 2015 in Pittsburgh when Arrieta single-handedly manhandled them at the wild card game. So I'm a Pirates fan, which is sad, but I guess I just admitted it. So.
Well, boy, you've left Dan speechless. Well, on that one.
Well, we paid back Arrieta this year by cutting him, so he deserved it.
Yeah, he was 6 years ago. He was nasty, though. It was pretty scary to watch.
It's all right. I think as a Tigers fan, I think 6 years ago they were pretty good too. So it's one of those things where everyone's going to go through the slumps. The Cubs are just really relying on the last two letters of their team name to carry them through for a little while, and eventually, 108 years will fly by. I think
we had a good 5-year run. We're due for a century of mediocrity, and then we'll have another dynasty.
Well, the Pirates are always rebuilding. It's always fun to watch.
Been rebuilding since Honus Wagner.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's a great point. He had a couple guys in between, but no, just wanted to give a call in.
Well, let me interject before you go with sort of an apology for the show. Anyone that's tuned in for long stretches of thoughtful content is probably not going to get it. But on a day like today, where the world is very grim, and people are on the internet and basically they're receiving from the news and Twitter and Facebook all this dire stuff. We like to bring people together, actually, not just behind keyboards, but to be able to hear their voice, have a good time, and enjoy each other and enjoy the things that we do have in common. So if this is not your kind of show and you're listening to this podcast next Tuesday, well, it's not really meant to be the greatest podcast you ever heard. It is a live radio show for our friends. So thanks for
Was it that bad that you had to give the disclaimer?
No, it wasn't you. It's not about you. When people say it's not about you, it's never about you. You should remember that. Especially if a woman says that to you, it really isn't about you. It's not about the nail either. If you've ever seen that video, well, so anything else for us? Any other questions or comments?
How are things in Tennessee?
Well, they're okay. COVID is not raging here the way it is in some places. It's just it seems sort of normal, but I'm not a school kid, or a large employer here just mandated vaccines for the few that don't have them. I haven't heard a lot of sort of the healthcare workers being required. I know we have friends in other parts of the country who are, quitting their healthcare jobs over these mandates. Somebody tweeted today, or maybe it was on Facebook. I don't know. Some large church saying that you had to show your vaccine card to worship. I don't think most of us are going to deal with that, but I certainly hope that doesn't become an issue for anybody that we know, or indeed anybody anywhere. Have you heard any of that in California, Dan? Any sort of show your papers to worship?
Not yet. We're actually going to implement a show us your infant baptism papers in order to worship at our church. No Baptists allowed. We don't want them infecting our covenant community. But other than that, we're cool if you're COVID positive. Just don't be Baptist positive.
Well, I think that's the height of magnanimity there.
We call that the Credo variant.
We love our Baptist friends, all five of them. And our first caller was a Baptist. And I'm wrong. We don't have another call on the line. Maybe they dropped. So if there's anything else, caller, that you want to say or ask, we're here for you.
Well, I know that Chortles, my Pitt Panthers, will be visiting your Volunteers in a few weeks.
I did look at the schedule. I don't really don't listen to sports talk radio anymore. Don't keep up at all. But I did look at the schedule, and I did notice that. Of course, our one of our greatest coaches was a Pittsburgh guy, Johnny Majors. So
that's correct.
Yeah, well,
he's very famous in those parts. I went to school there, so.
Our people are very hospitable. They don't throw bodily fluids on you like the Florida fans do.
I've been to Neyland Stadium before. My dad and I went down. I keep talking about sports, I guess, but hey, here we are. We were down there 10 years ago or so.
Yeah, so. The people are friendly, and they won't do anything bad to you. So, welcome to all the Pittsburghers. Maybe there'll be a few Presbyterians among them.
Maybe from PTS, where Mr. Rogers went.
Yeah. Well, I think we have another friend who went there. Did not Ben Glazer? I think he went there, possibly. All right. Well, thanks for calling in.
Yeah.
And hopefully someone.
Have a good night.
Someone takes your place right after. As soon as we'll just go straight to our caller. Is the caller there?
I'm here.
And where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the great state of Delmarza.
Of which state there?
Delmarza.
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 Okay.
That is that's the state that will form when Delaware, New Jersey, and the eastern shore of Maryland secede.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Out of all the states you could secede and reform with, those are certainly some of them.
I know I want South Jersey in my new state.
Well,
so does that mean you get all the Jersey Shore people in your state?
No. It's only the southern three counties of Jersey.
So Snooki's not a part of this deal?
That's undefeated at WrestleMania, Snooki, to you guys.
That's what we're getting.
She's 1-0 at the Showcase of the Immortals.
We also exclude everything north of the C&D Canal because that's considered no man's land. But I didn't introduce myself. This is Brimstone Deacon.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're part of that alleged Bourbon Bets podcast. Is that right?
It is alleged. That's correct.
Right.
Well, our podcast was eventual for a while, and then eventually we started doing it.
Well, someday we'll actually have subscribers and callers and listeners like you guys do. That's what we aspire to. So, but we do have a group of guys, though, that we have our own channel that we discuss things on. And yesterday, someone brought to our attention, and I was reminded because you tweeted about Russell Moore. Someone was lamenting the fact that in the latest Christianity Today magazine, they're supporting paganism. But that kind of led us down a rabbit trail of him leaving the SBC and going to Christianity Today. And one thing led to another, and we started coming up with band names for Russell Moore. And so I was wondering if I could run these by you and see which one would be a good band name for him.
Oh, absolutely. We want to hear that.
Okay, so we've come up with a few. Russ DMC. I don't know how that one strikes you. Russ Knot.
Russ Knot. No. Okay.
Russ Knot. Yeah, with a K. Rustalica. None of these are hitting. All right. The Russell Stones.
How about the Rustling Stones?
Rustling Stones. Guns and Russes.
Okay,
he wouldn't like that one.
All right. Well, might be our favorite. But Russell Against the Machine.
Very good.
Yeah, I think it'd be Russell getting paid by the machine, maybe.
That's too long.
I like when he duets with Beth Moore, the Two Moors.
Well, we did come up with RM/BM, but that's a little too long. It doesn't have the same ring as AC/DC.
He tweeted today. He has COVID, and he used a very strange expression, which was then echoed by one of his Baptist friends. But he said, "A batch of breakthrough COVID has hit our house." A batch of breakthrough COVID. That's a weird way to describe something and to use the English language. So, Dan, do any of your parishioners have a batch of breakthrough COVID?
Well, I actually did the research today as a good journalist, and I found out that J.D. Greer was the first to tweet that. And then, like typical Southern Baptists, they all plagiarize from J.D. Greer. So he's the original batch of breakthrough COVID guy.
It's so weird. Like, you would never expect a whole bunch of Southern Baptists to plagiarize. It's just so unlike them to have an allegation like that.
Now, Dan, I think you're pulling our listeners' legs. I don't think JD actually said a batch of breakthrough COVID.
Well, the 8 guys I have researching for me who type my tweets, they just happen to come up with the same line. We didn't steal it at all from J.D. Greer.
Okay, so it's sort of your version. It's the Dutch version of the docent group, I guess.
Exactly. I need 8 full-time staff to help me write my magnificent tweets.
Well, maybe, that might give you more time to write a sermon or something, too. So,
Well, if you guys need, Berlin Bets can confirm that for you. Just send a check, Dan.
So our friend Albert Kona, he suggests Rusty's, as in the movie Cars. So I haven't
We
seen
like that too.
Haven't seen the movie, but haven't seen many. So breakthrough COVID. What else could break through? We could have posited that we could have breakthrough confessionalism in the PCA. You could have breakthrough flavor in the URC. You could have breakthrough tasteful clothing in the OPC. I mean, what else could break through?
You could have breakaway jorts in the OPC, like the basketball warm up pants.
Oh, tearaway jeans. Oh,
there you go.
Well, yeah, the mind could go on and on these things. So, any other? Now you're in New Jersey, is that right?
No, how dare you? We're in Del Marzi.
Okay, well, you're somewhere up there. Are there what sort of church have you got up there?
PCA.
PCA, okay. Well, that's there are some good PCA churches in the Northeast, and there are some other churches in the Northeast. So
We have both. Yes, all kinds.
good. Well, anything else for us? Any other comments on the day or the issues of the day?
No, I think talking about Russell Moore has worn me out, so that's probably good. Probably time to go to bed now.
All right. Well, sweet dreams, as they say, and we do have another caller. So, thanks,
All right, you guys take care.
Brimstone, and good luck with that incipient podcast. All right. So we
Take care.
We do have another caller from the 760. Is the caller there?
It is.
So where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Escondido, California.
Oh.
This is Scott at Escondido.
Yeah. Now, are you on? This is Dr. Clark. Are you on a speakerphone because you sound really bad?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm on the headphones actually.
Okay.
Let me see if I can fix that. I'm on my high-powered AirPods.
Oh.
They're supposed to be wonderful.
Are you in the basement?
They got,
have you tried dipping them in water, perhaps to clean them?
Is it? The Wi-Fi signal is not always even. Is this better?
Yeah, it's a little better.
Okay, I can get off the headphones too. I can fix that. Yeah, how about that? Is that better?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, this all makes scintillating radio. I just wanted to call in and say hi, boys, and hope you're having fun in the Cantina. I saw Dan Borvin is on there, so you should probably put a warning, a parental warning, not for children or something.
He's been well behaved.
Unsafe for Baptists, or I don't know.
Yeah, he did
some kind of caution.
He did alienate the Baptist. That did happen.
Baptist advisory content.
Yeah, really, exactly. Yeah, the parental, what was it, the PMRC that Tipper Gore was in charge of?
The PR, Parents Media Resource Council. Yeah, Tipper Gore. Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Totally sincere.
Yeah. Yeah, can you imagine that? Tipper Gore worrying about what kids are listening to.
Well, how
about it's a different world?
How about our own president going full bore Christian nationalist today, with a line in a speech that seemed to be something that Robert Jeffress might have written for him?
Well, as I said on Twitter, this is, this is no defense of our president. But that abuse of the text is widespread. It's almost it's like the fundamentalist use of 2 Chronicles 5. If the nation will acknowledge its sins and so forth, turn, and as if that was written for the United States. Among first responders, military, PD, etc., I see that quoted all the time. So it's a widespread abuse of Isaiah.
I'm pretty sure we've got a billboard nearby with one of those very verses just posted right on it.
I mean, it's obviously. I haven't heard the whole show. We've been dealing with some family stuff. Nothing too serious, but just necessary family stuff. And I haven't heard everything. But it's a sad day, and I mean, not to be a downer, but it's obviously watching the President of the United States abuse Scripture in the service of politics or foreign policy or whatever is that's obviously not good. But
probably
I have it on good authority that every Predator drone is now calling Isaiah 6 his life verse. So that's here am I, send me to bomb people.
Yeah, well, yeah,
I think they're painting him on the side of the bombs.
I'm glad.
Isaiah 6.
They play Oceans from their speakers before they rain it down.
Well, now, Dr. Clark is a little older than me, though not much, but every president that I can think of has abused Scripture, but I'll bet there's one who might not have. Probably the least pious president we had might have been Richard Nixon. Will you back me up on that one?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I mean, he was a Quaker.
Notably the least corrupt president as well. I mean that seriously.
You begin to wonder.
Imagine he's an NCAA football coach. Okay, he's not doing anything anyone else did. He just got caught.
Yeah,
two of us currently on the podcast might have toured President Nixon's presidential library.
Well, yeah, it was very reflective of his personality. It was dowdy. It was dark. It was a little run down and
narrow corridors, heavy carpeting, low light.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the one poor, lonely guy at the gift shop that was this tiny, essentially a oversized closet for a gift shop. Contrast that with the big, bright, bold, and beautiful Reagan Museum that had not one but two giant gift shops. Air Force One, Marine One. I mean, the contrast was really quite astounding.
I was going to say that.
But very apt.
I was going to say that is the nice thing about the Reagan one is it's not only that, but there's also just an abundance of Jelly Bellies for sale. So it's
there's an Irish pub.
There is. You can get a nice Guinness by the end of it.
Well, I don't know when it began to change. For a long time, American presidents didn't actually do a lot of theologizing, Bible quoting. Obviously, it happens from time to time, but it seems to have picked up steam probably after Ford. With the election of Carter in '76, we had an overt evangelical, and then Ronald Reagan, which is, I guess, it's better. If he was quoting the Bible, that was better than quoting Nancy's card reader or whatever, the poem reader or whatever she was going to.
Reagan was just reading Peggy Noonan's words, pretty much.
Yeah, well, probably, and then Clinton, of course. Probably, it's. Don't you think it's possible that Clinton was perhaps the most biblically literate, other maybe W?
No, I don't think so.
Dr. Clark, that depends on what your definition of is.
Yeah, exactly. Or was.
Or
It all
was.
depends on what was. Yeah.
What did Clinton did Clinton quote the Song of Solomon? Was that what? I don't know. It was his favorite book or not?
That was his
I
pillow
don't
talk.
remember that, but yeah.
If Nixon were to quote the
demonic,
Bible,
I
it would
suppose.
probably be Pharaoh or Nebuchadnezzar, because he was not a fan of the Jewish people.
So, yeah, but it used to be presidents, you back in the 50s and 60s, even before that, you just didn't talk about religion in public much. And it was Carter that sort of brought it out of the closet. And although, I mean, that's, to be sure, you can find overt religious references in lots of American speeches, but it wasn't a regular feature. And I don't know, I wonder how often they actually occurred in Reagan's speech. Like when the speeches, when the space shuttle blew up, I don't remember biblical references or biblical quotations, for example. But or when the Marine barracks were blown up, I don't remember.
You do remember City on
biblical
Hill,
allusions, but I haven't. Sure.
That was Reagan's
Sure. Well, it's hard.
favorite
That's hard to
slogan.
resist. That's hard to resist. I mean, just as a piece of rhetoric and an image, it's almost irresistible for a politician. I mean, we are talking about politicians.
Well, they represent the best of us. They represent the best.
We should elect that gal who doesn't want to be who doesn't want to be a sheep. She wants to be a goat.
Caitlyn Jenner?
She can be. No.
What's our new governor? I agree. We should elect that gal.
Did you not see the woman who gave the interview where she said she wasn't going to wear a mask or anything because she didn't want to be a sheep. She wanted to be a goat, and there was a difference between sheep and goats, and she was determined to be a goat. That was circulating on social media the other day.
Yeah, that was.
Well, you could quote the Bible for that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what she was trying to do. I don't think she quite understood the imagery, but I thought, yeah, that was a use of scripture that was worthy of many politicians. So.
Well, Caitlyn is the GOAT, as in greatest of all time.
Oh. Yeah, Caitlyn. Well, that reminds me. We need to drop off our ballots. I thought maybe we'll have to do it tomorrow.
Just trust the guy who comes to your door.
Yeah,
that'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Yeah, dropping it off in the mailbox. That'll be
What could
perfectly
happen?
fine.
What could go wrong?
So, yeah, yeah. What indeed? Yeah, that was an interesting lot of names to try to sort through. I kind of feel left out. I feel like I should have paid the fee and to put my name on the ballot just for fun or just to participate. I don't know. I think there were 46 names on the ballot.
Sounds 2K to me.
They should do like every Dutch Reformed pastoral search and have 3 guys. That's it.
Yeah, just a trio. Well, back when the parties actually used to do something, right? When the parties used to do something, that it was closer to that. Anyway, but Turtles was being serious. He was asking a question, and
I just said anything. Anything new with you, or anything you want to mention?
No, not really. Just trying to grind away at the commentary. I'm up to Lord's Day 41. I only wrote 20 pages on the Sabbath for the Fourth Commandment. So,
now this is on the Heidelberg Catechism, a commentary.
On the Heidelberg Catechism, yeah. But school's coming next week, so my progress will slow down pretty dramatically for the semester. But I did make some progress this summer, so that was good. Otherwise, school starts. Got a new batch of students showing up, and who have shown up, and then some yet showing up, I guess. And so, what is it? Next Thursday? Yeah, next Thursday. All my classes are on Thursday and Friday this semester, which is very strange. I've never had that before, so that will be interesting. But maybe I can get some writing done on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Well, is that your wife editing your schedule live? Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Heidel wife making fun of me. Yeah.
Yeah, you better listen to her.
You just appeared on the Presby cast, so.
Well, that's. I'm sure she's a wonderful and patient woman.
Oh, that woman is a saint, as Bob Godfrey always says.
Yep. Well, Bob Godfrey was live with Ligonier tonight, so we had counter programming. Orlando's trying to bury us here, but we do what we can.
Now that's a president I would listen to.
Sure. Yeah. Make America great again. Let's elect Bob.
Yeah, actually, we've started Sunday school back at church, and we're using, because we didn't have a lot of lead up to prepare, we're using Bob Godfrey series on sort of the minor or, the less big time Psalms, a Ligonier series. So I think people are enjoying that.
Oh, good.
Although he's not quite as he's not as funny as he is in a conference, though.
Well, strange but true. Ligonier doesn't allow their people to laugh at his jokes. It's a I don't understand it. I mean, so it's an odd. What word do I want? It's disjunction. I think there's probably a better word, but. So if I'm watching one of those Ligonier videos and Bob is saying funny things, I'm watching the video cracking up, and everybody sitting there watching him is just stone-faced. And I couldn't figure it out. Come on, some of this stuff is really funny. And so I asked him one time, I said, what is the deal? How come you're not getting any laughs? And he said, they're not allowed to laugh. So,
well, only... If you look at if you look carefully, only about half of those Ligonier audience members are actually alive.
Well, if you do laugh, you can't laugh at Godfrey louder than you laugh at Sproul. Sproul's like the main event. The opening act gets no benefits.
Yeah, everybody's yelling for AC/DC. I don't know. It would be disconcerting, but. Anyway, well, good. I hope it's edifying. I'm sure it is. His book that he did on the Psalms is really helpful and a great introduction. I recommend it. So if the listener's looking for something on the Psalms, that's a great place to start. Bob Godfrey, W. Robert Godfrey. I don't remember the title of the book, but it's well worth having and worth reading. How about that? Some actual edifying content on the Presbycast.
That's right. Well,
it'll never happen again. We swear.
I was about to say that.
You.
Yeah. So anything
Where's
else
the Greta
for us?
drop?
Let's see.
How dare you?
There we go.
There you go.
I didn't want to hit the wrong button, or we'd have heard Omar.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks for calling us, and. We've got I had 6 ads queued up, and we've only had time for one. So busy have been our calls. So it's been successful in that respect. So, and if you were watching the video,
you boys have fun.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, good night.
All right.
See ya.
Well, that's our 7th caller. That's pretty good, more than we expected. So. We were talking about Big Eva earlier, and there are conferences and cruises and all that, and I know people are losing patience, but since we've got all these ads and we've got sponsors, we should play them. So remember, we too have a cash cow.
You may think it's funny to joke about the worst imaginable Christian conference. You may watch Masterpiece Theater on PBS and think, man, if only I could take an elegant European river cruise. Well, we have an event just for you, an event unlike any other. This fall, from your friends at PresbyCast Media, it's the first PresbyCast Confa Cruise. You and possibly dozens of your best online friends can join PresbyCast personalities and regulars on a southeastern river yet to be disclosed, or possibly a floodway relief drainage ditch for the experience of a lifetime. Board the SS Machen and set sail for a disturbing mix of old-school Presbyterianism and colorful local culture. The SS Machen is a charming mid-century barge with an 80-foot-long, single-wide trailer elevated above its majestic decks, which feature a smoker, shuffleboard, hot tub, more of a trough really, cornhole, and a pistol range. Reserve your stateroom or choose on-deck camping with a tent of your own provision, or simply sleep out in the open under the stunning southern skies. You'll thrill to onboard entertainment from original members of Americana pioneers, the Gourds, joined by Silent Topher, our mandolin player and cabin boy. Topher, tell our friends what they can expect. Thanks, Topher. We'll also have a live DJ playing the greatest hits from the PresbyCast bumper music genre. But wait, there's food too. Our all-pork dinner menu, breakfast Pop-Tart bar, and for lunch as many favorites from Taco Bell as Vape Train's drone can drop in, fresh from the nearest towns. There are speakers too. Chortles Weekly, yours truly, will deliver his stirring address, movies I have never seen and albums I have never owned. Listener favorite Daryl Hart will talk about The Wire. What if it had been set in Moscow, Idaho? Presbyterian will give a narrative history of U.S. professional wrestling and deliver the reflection, 9 things you need to know about the Grateful Dead, fish, and tacos. Not sure if that's 3 things each or 9 things each. We'll see. And hey, you won't be cooped up on a smelly boat all the time. There will be shore excursions where you can personally experience the folkways of the charming descendants of the exotic Scots-Irish. And wrestling. Didn't we mention wrestling already? Well, our final evening on board will see the inaugural PresbyCast WrestleMania. That's right. Wrestle your newfound friends on the deck of the SS Machen. Singlets will be provided, but if you want tights and boots, you must bring your own. So bring your wrestling regalia, your appetite, your curiosity, and your insatiable thirst for knowledge to the first annual PresbyCast Confa Cruise. Stay tuned for more details. Terms and conditions apply. Must sign waiver. No refunds or rain checks.
All right, Dan. So we've got you penciled in as a participant there.
Yeah, I want to be on the West Coast version. We can cruise down the LA River and see all the tent cities that line our beautiful landscape.
Well, I'm sure we could get, bless them. I haven't, drag cigarette Vape Train. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. I'm sure him and Topher would be happy to, rig up some sort of rope system to shopping carts as we pull the cruise down the glorious LA River.
Well,
evangelize the hobos.
Dan, speaking of California, I've actually there's a podcast. I don't know much about the guy who puts it together. And hold on, I'm gonna cut off this Bluetooth because I'm getting some interference from it. A podcast called Martyr Made, MARTYRMADE. He has about a 30-hour series on Jim Jones, and there's a lot about California, 60s radicalism, all that stuff. So I'd love to have him on the show sometimes. I've noted a few disturbing parallels between Jim Jones and some of our woke evangelicals, I'm afraid.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know. Jim Jones was pretty woke back in the 60s and 70s, and that attracted a whole lot of people to the People's Temple in San Francisco. He was preaching the neo-Marxist stuff long before it became popular.
Yeah, it's truly truly stunning. I mean, his I could go on for hours since I've listened already for hours. But he was hard to figure. But I think one of the things that this podcast goes over a lot of the history of radicalism in the '60s, and some of our woke evangelicals or ex evangelicals, they are drawn to and fans of the worst of that time. You know, the Angela Davis and Malcolm X and Stokely Carmichael. You know, the truly bad actors. Yeah. So yeah, that's. But yeah, maybe one day we'll have. I think his name is Daryl Cooper, but the Martyr Maid. That's one word.
Well,
podcast.
Last summer we had services outside, I had to wear sunglasses to preach, and one week I had mirrored sunglasses, and my brother saw a photo and said, "You look like Jim Jones." So I went out and bought some new sunglasses.
yeah, not a compliment. Not a compliment.
No. So we're going to start a URC in Ghana. If anybody wants to come and be on the ground floor of that.
Yeah, there was a fair amount of well, there were some activists in Ghana that had relation to the '60s radicals as well. A little back and forth. All right, I think for some reason my audio was just distorting and dropping off, but we'll deal with that. No more callers, and we're approaching the hour and a half mark. Anything we should talk about before we go? No.
We can talk more about Caitlyn Jenner if you want. I mean, I could go on all night with the stump speech on my favorite.
We probably got the show. Okay. Probably got the limit on that.
I mean, what's hypothetical? What's more likely to happen? Gavin Newsom gets recalled, or Kanye West finally releases his next album?
We're getting into Chinese democracy territory with Kanye here.
Mm-hmm. Didn't that album actually come out?
Yeah, I think it was 12 years late. But
I think I may have actually listened to it once.
That's enough.
Yeah, I mean, I've been also outspoken in my, I've been waiting 20 years for the Limp Bizkit Renaissance to occur. I gotta say, this has been a really exciting summer for me. I assume it's like the guys who, sit in those microwave satellite centers waiting for extraterrestrials, and then the lights finally start blinking, and it's happening. That's a little bit how I felt after Lollapalooza.
Fred Durst is quite alien.
He is.
I tweeted out, he looks like if Bill Murray was going to go out in public and put on a disguise, he would look like Fred Durst.
Yeah, it was sort of a. I think he was going for like Spicoli on Medicare. Was sort of the look that I was. And he actually he actually dropped a Spicoli quote when he walked on stage. He pointed and said, "I know that dude." So yeah, I mean, this is the exciting stuff that you get on AM Presbyterian Radio.
Edifying content.
Who's it? WCF Linux says, or like Duke Nukem Forever, in development for 14 years. I feel like I heard a rumor that John Cena was going to play Duke Nukem in a movie. And I sort of hate how well that works.
I think it's going to be in Mandarin. Since he's the CCP's favorite movie star.
Yeah, I mean that was I don't know if so I sort of well not sort of I actually love the Meg, the Jason Statham movie about the megalodon.
Oh yeah.
But it's very clearly Chinese propaganda showing the shark attacking other Southeastern Asian coastal nations, and I mean it's just blatantly obvious. It's sort of like in the Transformers movies. All the Transformers are General Motors cars, and only non-General Motors cars are getting destroyed in the cities.
I have a question for you guys. As I try not to talk to many PCA people, so
Same.
what's kind of the word on the street with the PCA? Are you guys feeling good? Was this a temporary victory, or what's the general vibe amongst the confessionalists?
Well, as you know, all victories are temporary, except the last one. The question is whether the overtures in question are going to pass, and that's sort of it's a toss-up. We don't really know. We just don't know. And,
Are there rumors of next GA, the others trying to stack the deck? Will they come back strong?
Oh, I don't know. That's hard to say. I don't want to accuse anyone of anything, especially since we've been accused of packing, and no such thing occurred. I've done some statistical research that sort of proves that. I think what we found is, at a certain point, the PCA is sort of a right of center denomination if you get everybody there. So that's my take on it. Anyway.
So we just came through in the comments. Clay Seidenbender asks, which actor would play Machen in a biographical movie on his life? I feel like we've already mentioned two potentials. Fred Durst. Either one of those I feel like could fulfill it pretty well. Dan, your thoughts?
I think a pre-Me Too Kevin Spacey would have been a good Machen.
Oh no.
Confirmed bachelor, they both are.
Mm-hmm. We've got a guy at my church that looks a lot like Machen, in my opinion.
I'm gonna, I think you could go. Obviously, hair dye can change a whole bunch of things, but a pre-heroin death Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh, he would have to climb a lot of mountains like Machen to get into Machen shape.
Yeah. I don't know, but he just had one of those, like, you were never, the thing with, like, Hoffman is you always want more of him. Especially like as Brandt, like who could play a more perfect, just like smarmy, hateable, punch drunk in love assistant with his boss. WCF Linux says inevitably it will end up being Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Too tall.
Late career Nick Cage.
Yeah, like Mandy or Pig stage Nick Cage.
Yeah, and he's got the hairline for it.
What if he plays Machen as his character from National Treasure? Like, I'm gonna steal the Westminster Confession of Faith. I think I need that one the most.
I didn't see it.
I think Joaquin Phoenix would play an interesting Machen if Machen had an acid addiction. It might make for an interesting angle on the Presbyterian controversy.
It's like Jon Stewart's character in Half Baked. You ever seen a $20 bill, man? You ever seen a $20 bill on weed?
You ever see Erdman on weed?
Oh, they should pay us for this.
Yeah, I think I should be paid. All right. Well, I think we're about ready to wrap up after all, and I think we'll do that. So
A full half Rogan.
Presby, we've got a long outro, so you can take your time. You're not gonna outrun it. But we do want to thank the several callers and the lively comments section, and Dr. Clark for calling in, and of course Dan, the third Presbycaster. So Resby.
Yeah, it's just like on a lively Discord channel, several people are typing. The bottom of the screen says, and so to several of you who called in, thank you for doing so, and especially to everyone who watched or who's listening to this. We hope that you feel like you're glad that this was free when you get to the end of it. So that's really our goal here. Dan, if we don't see you before Festivus, stay out of prison. But if it can't be avoided, we'll find a way. Tradition dictates. So, and technically, if you're in jail, you're surrounded by aluminum poles. Very little tinsel as well. So as long as it's minimum security, you should be fine. But you can follow at Dan Borvin, at Chortles Weekly, at Presbyterian, as you go into this fall season. You may have your fall plans, but no matter what the Delta variant has in store, don't be an Erdman.
Dad and my mother to do my Father's will. It's been a joy to me as I suffer and slowly climb up the hill. Tell my mother that the last time you saw me, I love to sing and pray. Tell her I sing the songs about Jesus and of a bright and better day. Tell my mother that I'd like to be with her. She cried many times when I left home. Tell her I plan that we both be together, where her boy will never roam.
Magic on the internet worldwide.